We inhabit the land of the indigenous people. This land has sustained, nurtured, and protected them for generations. We pray that we be good stewards of this sacred land, the land of the Kumeyaay and the other indigenous people of the Diocese of San Diego. All right, Hearth, it's yours.
Mute myself. All right, thank you. Thank you, Julie. All right, so I'm going to lead you through a guided meditation. And I'm going to go through each of the different prophets that were mentioned in the book. And you'll recognize a rhythm as I start going through it. We'll be taking a little meditative pause after each presentation. So to prepare for the guided meditation, I'd like to invite you all to sit comfortably right now, preferably with your back straight and your hands relaxed on your lap, and I'll ask you to close your eyes. So keeping your eyes closed, take a couple of gentle breaths. And please remain sitting comfortably and keeping your eyes closed throughout the meditation time. Again, I will lead you through a summary of each of the prophets mentioned in the book. And I will invite you at a certain time to open your eyes at the end of it. Again, asking you to keep your eyes closed throughout so that we stay in this meditative, contemplative time together. Pelagius. Pelagius taught that grace was given to reconnect us to our nature, which is sacred and made of God. Divine grace is given not to make us something other than or more than natural. It is given to make us truly natural, to restore us to the sacred essence of our being. Writing to a young woman, Pelagius said, "Have regard for your origin, consider your lineage, respect the honor of your noble stock. Acknowledge you are not only the daughter of a man and a woman, but the daughter of God as well, graced with the nobility of divine birth. Present yourself in such a way that your divine nobility shines forth clearly. Let us awaken to our true origin of divine birth, trusting our soul as sacred. Awake, O my soul, and know the sacred dignity of your being and of the being of every living soul. Awake, O my soul, and know the sacred dignity of your being." Saint Bridget. Saint Bridget is an icon of sacred feminine strength, the particularity of the strength of faithfulness to the interrelationship of all things, a strength used for one another, not against one another. Serving our relationship with the earth and all life forms upon her, the sacred feminine tends our interconnections with all. Recognizing that we need one another, we faithfully protect the well-being of all people, all species, all communities. Let us recognize the threshold moment in which we live. Just as the earth is forever pushing forth new life, so it is with the human soul. Let us be alert to where new vision is trying to be born among us. Let us be watchful for where the waters are breaking. Awake, O my soul, to the embodiment of the beauty and strength of the sacred feminine, that I may serve the interrelationship of all things, within all things, and among all things. Awake, O my soul, to the strength and beauty of the sacred interrelationship of all things. Nature is the gift of being, says John Scotus Eruihena, and it is a sacred gift. Grace, on the other hand, is the gift of well-being, given not to change the heart of our nature, but to release the true heart of our nature. Nature forms us, and grace reforms us. In the gospel story of Jesus healing the lepers are not given new faces, says Eruihena. Rather, they are restored to their true faces. The medicine of grace is given not to banish our nature, but to awaken us to our nature, made of God. Let us see the divine as a subterranean river flowing through the body of the earth and through everything that has being. This sacred river runs also through you and through me. We can open to it now to be more fully alive. Awake, O my soul, to the flow of the divine deep within you and in every creature, in every woman, in every man. It is the river of resurrection, the promise of new beginnings. Awake, O my soul, to the flow of the divine deep within you. From the Carmina Gadelica. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the Son of Peace to you. Let us sing of the graces of water, air, earth, and fire, and praise their sacredness as God's good creation. Awake, O my soul, to the ever new song of the earth that is within you. With a belief in the sacred interrelationship of all things, Alexander John Scott defined sin as being out of harmony with what is deepest in the earth and in one another. Heaven and hell, he said, are present realities. It is when we are true to the sacred interrelationship of earth and humanity that we experience heaven within us and between us. It is when we are unfaithful to this interrelationship that we create hell on earth for one another and the creatures. Redemption, therefore, is about overcoming disunity. Let us observe how redemption happens when we awaken to the sacred interrelationship of all things and translate it into action. Awake, O my soul, to the truth of unity. In every moment and every encounter of life, awake to the intermingling of heaven and earth, time and eternity, spirit and matter. Awake, O my soul, to the truth of unity. John Muir. One is constantly reminded of the infinite lavishness and fertility of nature, inexhaustible abundance amid what seems enormous waste. And yet, when we look into any of her operations that lie within reach of our minds, we learn that no particle of material is wasted or worn out. It is eternally flowing from use to use, beauty to yet higher beauty. We soon cease to lament waste and death, and rather rejoice and exult in the imperishable, unspendable wealth of the universe, and faithfully watch and wait the reappearance of everything that melts and fades and dies about us, feeling sure that its next appearance will be better and more beautiful than the last. Let children walk with nature. Let them see the beautiful blendings and communions of death and life, their joyous, inseparable unity, as taught in woods and meadows, plains and mountains and streams of our blessed star. They will learn that death is stingless indeed, and as beautiful as life, and that the grave has no victory, for it never fights. All is divine harmony. Awake, O my soul, to the knowledge that you are born of the earth. Awake to your love of her. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. At the heart of our being, and at the heart of all being, is the beat of the divine. We do not have to invoke or summon it from afar. It is here and now, always here, always now. The invitation is simply to awaken to the sacred, to open to it, and in knowing it deep within us, to know that we are part of it, and in being part of it, to know also that we are part of one another and of everything in the cosmos, the sacred interrelationship of all being. Let us allow the very heart of the earth to beat within us. Awake, O my soul, to the sacred stream of light that runs through you, through the body of the earth and every life form, in the moist fecundity of valleys and in the hard matter of mountain granite, all things in flux and further becoming. Awake, O my soul, to the sacred stream of light that runs through you. George MacLeod. I simply argue that the cross be raised again at the center of the marketplace as well as on the steeple of the church. I am recovering the claim that Jesus was not crucified in a cathedral between two candles, but on a cross between two thieves, on a town garbage heap, at a crossroad of politics so cosmopolitan that they had to write his title in Hebrew and in Latin and in Greek, and at the kind of place where cynics talk smut and thieves curse and soldiers gamble, because that is where he died, and that is what he died about, and that is where Christ's own ought to be, and that is what church people ought to be about. Let us be aware of the glories of God at the conjunction of the vertical and the horizontal, in the intersection of heaven and earth, the divine and the human, spirit and matter. Awake, O my soul, to the compassion of the divine deep within you. Awake to its sacred flow of feeling and its strong currents for change. Be true to it within yourself. Set it free in others. Awake, O my soul, to the compassion of the divine deep within you. Kenneth White is an icon for us today of the voyager, the one who has set sail to discover a new land, a new way of being. He let go of the old order and sought the new. He realized how our city-based culture, born of the Industrial Revolution, has become bankrupt and unsustainable. Seeking an earth-based orientation for his life's journey, he charted new ways of navigating within the fields of poetry, politics, and philosophy that were based on our primal relationship with the earth. Let us lift anchor and navigate towards new ways that honor our interrelationship with the planet of our homeland. Let us choose to be part of an ancient spiritual practice of peregrination, leaving the comfort of the familiar in order to seek resurrection, unity, and new beginnings. Awake, O my soul, to the prayer of dawn that is within you. Listen to its hopes for a new day. Follow its intimations of fresh light. You are an explorer of what has never been before. Awake, O my soul, to the prayer of dawn that is within you. And feel free to gently open your eyes when you're ready and return to our presence together.
Parth, who was the person in front of George MacLeod? He came after, and it's about feet of the divine and all.
Desjardins.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for doing that.
That was lovely.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Hold on.
I really felt the interrelatedness of all the prophets and with ourselves.
Good.
Yeah, that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Parth, would you be willing to share your script?
Absolutely, yes.
That would be
Anybody who would want it, I'll
right here.
send
that
it
would
to
be- that
I'll
would
send
be
it to
really
Diane
nice.
because I think Diane has everyone's.
Right.
Yeah.
Diane is the gatekeeper. So
She is the gatekeeper.
and we have a recording too.
Very,
She is.
very
Yeah.
nicely summarized. I mean, you pulled the essence out of each of the chapters
Thank
in a
you.
beautiful way. Thank you.
It was
Very
wonderful. It was a delight to create.
Mhm.
And we're not finished, are we, Julie?
We are not.
We're not. So I think you're up next, Diane, with telling us what's going on in the diocese, and then sending us into our break rooms with the questions that you've developed.
Sure, we'll do. Let's see. I just want to send Julie one quick message. And we'll start. So we probably shared this before, but the book study is a third one that we've done with the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego through the Creation Care Task Force. Parth and I are members of the EDSD, CCTF, as we like to call it. And our labor of love is to involve individuals and churches in praying, studying, and taking action on the climate crisis affecting all of God's creation. Earlier this year, 11 churches in the diocese attended a meeting that we held to learn about the purpose of the task force, the 2021 convention resolution, which was written to encourage churches to take up the ministry of creation care in the diocese, along with suggestions for starting some type of creation care ministry within their churches. Several churches, beyond the ones that we worked with early on, have expressed interest, and we are in conversation with them about how their churches might engage in this work, with the hope that even more congregations will consider some kind of creation care ministry. As part of our work, we developed a creation care guide and other resources to address many aspects of this work. There are all kinds of ways to look at creation care, obviously, and our response to it. Such as collaborations between churches and collaborations between churches and the communities that they sit in, resources for children and youth, and other hopefully helpful bits of information. We're even going to staff a table at the Ramona Earth Fair on the 23rd of April. Structure is important, but perhaps more important are the ideas that fuel, no pun intended, this important work. Effective planning starts with one or two people, whether in our breakout rooms today, in an informal conversation among friends, or among church members. Tonight, we hope that our ideas can be developed into an action resource. Such an action resource hopefully can provide a jumping off point for interested churches, individuals within those churches to consider. And perhaps you might consider sharing some of the things that we talk about tonight with your own church. These ideas could also be part of a collaborative action plan that could bring together several churches or even groups within your community that may be interested in doing more for creation care. And I want to thank Susan Newland. When we got together last week, she reminded us that we are all in different types of congregations: urban, rural, desert, mountain, ocean. I mean, we're all over the place. And it's important to try to get a sense of what we can do where we are. The most recent UN climate report said in no uncertain terms that it's now or never. And I'll share that report link at some point in time. We are the change we wish to see in the world. And actually, I have a minute to tell you that that is attributed to Gandhi, but Gandhi's actual statement, I think, is even better. He said, "We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change." As, well, he said man, but we'll say person changes their own nature, so does the attitude of the world change toward that person. This is the divine ministry, this is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. So with that thought, and remembering that we are the change we wish to see in the world, Julie will instruct us on breakout rooms, and I will, and Teresa, if we can do what you would like a little bit later, is that okay with you? Okay, thank you. I want to just share the questions or considerations for our breakout rooms. And
so Diana's going to be sending us into breakout rooms in just a minute. And although we've encouraged you to have a note taker every session, this session is critically important because we're going to spend more time reporting back than we normally do. And I want to capture all the ideas because I think they will spark our actions going forward. I just know that out of these break room discussions are going to come excellent ideas and actionable ideas. So the questions that Diane has developed, I'll just read them and then she'll send you into the break rooms. And this, obviously these questions are.
You just muted yourself.
Yeah, I have this, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Every once in a while I get this message that says, there's a feedback loop. Do you want to continue? And I have to say, yes, I want to continue, or it won't let me. So first question, has Newell's book invited you to consider a more active role in addressing the climate emergency? What are the areas of passion for you for our creation? And what are some of the actions that you, your family, and your church may actively respond, how they may actively respond to the climate change? And in this question, keep in mind that we are all in a different context. Some of us are in urban churches, some rural, some desert. So with that, Diane, are you ready to send people to
Yes, I
the
am.
break rooms?
Sure.
So the leaders, make sure you have somebody that is taking notes.
Okay.
Thank you. And we'll see you back in about.
Jane, I am sending you into a room. So now let me stop the recording first.
Okay. So Carolyn, you were in group 1 and
Richard took notes.
Richard took notes. So is Richard willing to report back?
Oh, wait a second. There's Susan. Okay, Susan, Jane. I just made sure we're all here.
So you had the two of you and Jane and.
We've got about 4 minutes for each report back. Hope that's enough time. And we want to just make sure that everybody gets a chance to report. Thanks.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on the time.
Okay, are you ready, huh? Okay, go ahead.
Ready for me?
Yes, please.
Okay, gray water use. Instead of using drinking water to flush our toilets, use gray water. A man named Bill Tunn made sure that the butterflies got emphasized at the zoo, and with his perseverance, they are at Safari Park, and it has to do with pollinators. We need to emphasize pollinators. And to use, there was a grant to, there are grants given to plant gardens, community gardens, and there's one at Juniper and Frost.
Front.
Excuse me. Use of washing machine water to put on your plants. Let's see, there's an environmental action plan at every city except Poway. So anybody who's interested in politics, there you go. Tree planting. That the cathedral has planted 14 trees, or had them planted, in lieu of the trees that we pulled out to put up our gigantic 20-story building. Jane Iatis mentioned Earth Breeze for washers. There's no plastic, and she was emphasizing no plastic. She's showing the thing, and it comes in a paper container with 60 loads of laundry, and all you gotta do is throw the sheet in the wash, and you're all set.
Wow.
Dr. Bruner's
Bronner.
Bronner, B-A-U.
No, B-R-O-N-N-E-R.
She's got it, okay.
I know how to
We have
spell
some of
it.
his products.
I got it.
Some of these products in our
That
house.
doesn't mean that I
You
want-
got it.
We are, but Dr. Bronner's soap for washing dishes, just like a bar of soap. And does better, rinses better than other soaps. Liquid soap for shower. And buy local. Put a bucket in the shower. And also a bucket for cleaning your fruit. And then, of course, use the water for garden. Okay, Jane suggested that the group make a list of things that we can, that we're putting up from each group to collate it all. All righty. So then we move to what the kids, teaching kid about nature and get youth involved. Philip Cousteau and his wife have started Earth Echo International, a global movement for youth to take care of the environment. Creation Care is coming up with the May 24th Creation Care Sunday, and there'll be 5 sessions at the for youth at the cathedral. And one of the main things that we're doing is planting a pizza garden. So taking all the ingredients that you put in a pizza and grow them, see how they grow, and then make it into a pizza.
I like that.
That was,
kind of fun.
that was my mistake. It's April 24th.
April.
I
Can we
probably-
grow pepperoni?
This is a vegetarian pizza.
Vegetarian pizza.
Right, yeah.
I guess Karen Pressler from the diocese is working with older kids. St. Luke's has a community garden. It's now under a 501c3. It's independent. It was started by the Rescue Commission and International Rescue Commission. And the question is, let people know that there are community gardens. People don't always know. There's a possibility of using the land that St. David's has for planting a community garden, but that's stalled at the moment. But I think once they get their rector straightened out, a new rector, that might happen. So Carolyn ended by saying, keep talking it up what we're doing, because people don't know.
Right.
Through newsletters or conversations or whatever it might be. And she mentioned that Diane writes something each week, writes for Simple Living newsletter, trying to get out as much information as possible.
Okay, Richard, I think we need to move on. Thank you
I'm
very
done.
much.
That's
I'm
it.
done.
Well, that was good.
Okay, I was
That
gonna
was
say,
perfect
hold
then.
those, I know how to find you.
Yeah, in case you didn't get everything down, that you
I-
guys got very, very
Yeah.
specific.
Wow.
We were more kind of, well, anyway, I'll let somebody else report. Group 2, who is in group 2?
I don't remember the number of our group. Was I
Parth, you were probably.
I was group 2? Okay.
Let me just check if I can still.
Okay.
Yes, Parth, yes. Group two.
Okay. Okay. So my group was myself, Karen, Sydney, and Nancy. And so we kind of answered, a little bit of all those questions about how the book affected us and the interest in creation care, such and such, and then the churches. Karen talked about nature's always been important to her. And she's noticed especially even more so during lockdown. She's a liaison for Christ Church, their Peace and Justice, and then she's come on to our Creation Care Task Force. She was looking at the different task forces that were being represented in the diocese and picked Creation Care because that's the one her heart was close to. She feels that most of society is moving to address creation care, which I felt really hopeful to hear that. And as far as her church, she said they're looking at specific things just starting at her church. They're looking for people, well, she had a suggestion for all of us, actually, that if you're looking to start a group or build on a group, to look for people at your church who really simply enjoy nature and kind of follow it from there. I thought that was a helpful hint. Sydney talked about how she's, in terms of the book, she's always been drawn to the Celtic way of life. And she talked a lot about her daughter, who I think it was around the year 2000 when she was majoring at Berkeley in conservation and soil and climate conservation, how she's influenced their family. She taught them how to reuse and regenerate basically many things, everything they use. She worked for a while at the EPA. I think it was during the Trump administration, and she was disappointed at that time at what was happening because there were a lot of ways they were kind of trying to break it down, but I think it's being regenerated again, hopefully. And her church at Trinity, they have a community garden. They're looking for an interim priest, and she's hoping to introduce more people at her church to creation care so that they can all become active in creation care as much as they are currently in working on homelessness. Nancy at All Souls said that the book didn't really push her any farther than she already is and interested in nature and in creation care. She's not sure if people at her church are as interested in that, but she is going to be reporting back to her church on this study and also on our task force, Creation Care Task Force, to their church's outreach commission. And the chair of that commission is one of their vestry members. And I didn't even take notes on myself. I think mainly I talked about, to me, just this book, like Braiding Sweetgrass and others, just keeps reinforcing for me interrelationship, the interrelationship of all things and connection among all things. And the more that people realize that and fall in love with the reality of that, with all of the earth and each other, the better off we'll all be, I think. So that was our group.
Thank you, Parth. And group 3. Did we have group 3?
Yep, that would
Was
be me.
that us? Oh, that was us.
That was your group, Julie.
Oh, boy. I'm glad you noticed.
So the group was Julie, myself, Anita, Teresa, my husband Larry in the background here, and Helena came in late. And I'll try to summarize because we had a very rich discussion. So please forgive me if I've not included something you really wanted to speak up on.
And may I also say, anything you missed, you can always get in touch and I'll put it in. That's okay.
Or somebody can put it in the chat also. But anyway.
Well, I'm talking about afterwards.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Sure.
Wonderful. Okay. One was talking about, as a person of faith, how we are chartered with caring for our creation. It's part of our baptismal duty. Another pointing out a little bit later that even though we regard the sacredness in our faith in our relationship to the earth and to each other, 75% of our population is non-religious at some level and more motivated by their organizations, their profits, what have you. So what do you do as in that circumstance? How do you bring people along? Creation care is also something that is important, but sacredness of human life is important to another of our members as a high order priority. And to the extent that I would assume that she was trying to say, the extent that creation care would funnel into that would be important to her. We had a couple of mentions, and it was interesting that group 1 brought this up about little kids, how right now they're being frightened into what's happening to their environment. And then one of our members saying that living in a very densely urban population, the kids in her parish never get a chance to see nature, not even a tree canopy overhead. And so there was some discussion around what it would be like to have adults taking kids on retreats or
Oh,
journeys of some sort that would take them into nature and teach them and bring them along into what it is we're learning. And it occurred to me that's almost like a leap jump over the worry about corporations that won't go along with it because of profit. You get the kids to go along with it when they're really young. It becomes a part of their existence. We had one member bring up, and I think we all agreed that as individuals, we should be trying to do things like use less water, eat less meat that has a carbon impact, using cleaning solutions that have less carbon impact. And then one of our members, having recently visited one of our local state parks around the Los Penasquitos Lagoon, and all the education that was going on around there about how our development in that area has impacted what was once a very large natural resource, especially for Native people. So I think it kind of summarizes the idea. If anyone wants to speak to our group.
We have time, so, you know, if you have anything else to add, that would be lovely.
I think we talked about the need for a political will and political
Oh.
action. And Anita brought up an idea that I'd never heard before that apparently is taking hold in other cities, nonviolent protests.
yay.
I don't know, Anita, do you want to say 1 minute real quick
By
about that?
scientists. They're so shocked right now where we're at and how quickly the glaciers are melting, and things are happening much faster than they had predicted. And so they said, like it's now or never. So they're willing to go to jail. They're willing to do sit-ins. They're willing to do some kind of action. And it's going to happen worldwide. It's already starting. As I said, they were in New York. They got arrested. They were protesting in front of Chase Bank, I believe it was, for their giving money to the oil companies.
Can you
And
share
do you-
information on that in the chat or anything, or at some point, can you share that?
Sure.
Thank you.
And there is a local event going on in May, and I'll share that information too. It's kind of hard to get over to. I mean, we can certainly do something here in front of Chase, but you need more than just a handful of people. So the nice thing is when groups get together and plan something, it's very helpful because there are people from those groups who add to the numbers. But I will share that when I get more information about it.
Okay. I'll send it to you, Diane, and maybe you could disperse
Sure.
it to everybody. Thank you.
I'm happy to do that.
All right.
Excellent, thank you.
Sounds good. So we just had 3 groups, is that right?
We had 3 groups, and
Diane.
I would like to ask if anybody had any other ideas that they didn't get a chance to share while they're hearing these ideas, because ideas spark ideas, right?
I have a question. I had mentioned that we're doing a land use survey for our own church, and the community is saying they want gardens, and one of the biggest community gardens, and we have 2 churches that already do. I was told by a clergy person that close contact with the bishop that she is very much against community gardens, and I am totally aghast and non-understanding. And I
Yeah.
wonder if anyone else has heard anything.
Yeah, I have not heard that. And I'm on the executive committee or council, whatever it's called, for the diocese. So I can explore that a little bit and get back to you on it.
It would probably be, because it might be rather sensitive within our own church. So if you could
Sure.
give me some feedback, I would.
I will definitely do that. I'll get back to you, Susan. Yeah,
Thank you.
anytime we want to use land for good things, gosh.
I don't know how many of you know, but there's a new state law about composting.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's supposed to take effect in our area this summer.
yeah. And it was supposed to take effect statewide January 1, but nobody
Exactly.
did anything
Right.
until January 1. But you can buy little composting containers on Amazon to sit on your counter. You just throw your scraps in as you're going along. And hopefully, I live in an apartment or a condo complex, so we have to have a big bin out there. They're setting that up now. And getting ready to do that. But our community gardens could be a place for those who don't have that ability, or their complexes are not participating for some reason, yet they can take their scraps and start that out.
Sydney, are you talking about the law that requires us to have a separate waste container for things that are compostable?
Our green waste,
And
yes.
Green,
Not just
green
our
bin.
gardening,
Right.
not just our gardening anymore, but it's everything out of the kitchen.
Wow,
Right.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people didn't know that was coming down the pike. My daughter was all up and cheering for it.
yeah.
Yes.
And our churches, Christ churches, that is one thing we have done. We got a green bin. So like if we're having a pancake supper, I mean a spaghetti dinner next week or the week after, and because we're serving 200 people, we can't use real plates, but we're getting paper plates, and you can throw those in the compost bin.
Yeah, if you get the
with
paper
all your
plates that are
food scraps.
real paper, not
We-
plastic
yeah.
coated or any of that, but the
Right,
real thin.
cardboard that,
Yeah.
is food contaminated that you can't put in your recycling bin, you can put in the
Right.
green bin, as long as it's paper and not plastic.
Plastic, yes.
So
The
if I could.
is that San Marcos has already implemented that. My church in San Marcos was investigating a green bin, and it was going to cost us an extra $35 a month, which is kind of counter what you're trying to do when you're a really, really small parish like we are,
Right.
Yeah, Grace is real small.
an economic thumb. So it's not all that easy to participate in what the state's coming up to require us.
Interesting, because I think every village, every city has different rules on what
That's the
gets,
problem.
they get
Yeah.
charged for in their waste management.
And I think that's where political will comes in too. If there are enough people in a community that can say, look, this is crazy, let's organize that, you might be able to get that kind of thing. And starting small, asking for a compost bin is not a
And-
huge thing, but
If you
it
can't
is
afford the
something to
green bin,
organize around.
use your community garden to start a private composting.
Yeah, you can do
Because you
that
can
too.
compost in your backyard if you want to.
That's the
Right.
factor.
Yeah. So my husband was just pointing out, EDCO is our collection agency and probably has contracts in many other locations, and they have put that technology into force right now.
$50 million.
They spent $50 million to implement it. But they're passing some of that on to residents, like our bill went up 10%, the church is going to be charged extra. So it's not real straightforward, but it's encouraging that a major corporation did pick that concept up.
Yeah.
And
Is it
I
50?
apologize, I got our time wrong, so we are overtime, aren't we?
Yeah,
What I'd like to say is, for anybody that has any ideas, we will put out another email. I want to share something that Therese shared with us about racial justice. I think that has become, it's obvious that that is a concern for many of us who are here. And there's some good things that are being provided to help educate and provide action as well for on racial justice. But that will come with the next email, maybe. I hope you don't mind that there's a next email.
No, please.
In the email, for people who haven't been able to attend, I will ask the same 4 questions or 3 questions, whatever it is, so that we can get their input as well, if they so choose to do that. We also have a very short feedback. We'd like how this worked for you, with the glitches, despite the glitches, however you want to.
Glitches are just part of life.
Well, that's true. Anyway, we'll send that out as well. And Julie, I'm sorry, didn't mean to.
it's okay. I'm happy for you to announce that because you know better the specifics. So
Could
I think,
could I just ask a quick question before we stop?
Sure.
Okay, I was under the impression, and maybe everybody was joking, that you guys were gonna do like a new Nicene Creed, or something. So
Yeah,
what
You
just
guys.
yeah, we were
What
all
I wanted
supposed to.
to
That was our
share-
spiritual
Oh, yeah,
practice.
okay, great. You want to
What I-
share? Sounds good.
what I wanted to share is I didn't do that, but what I did look up, and I sent it to a few people. Maybe we can include that when you send it out
Sure.
to everybody.
I
And
saw
that
it.
is a pledge allegiance to the earth. There's
Oh.
many different varieties, but
Nice.
the one I chose, I think kind of encapsulates everything. So if you could please send that
I
out with
will.
your, thank you so much.
I will do that.
I
This is
guess
gonna be a-
everybody was kidding.
It's going to be a long email. We were.
That'll be fine.
We weren't kidding. It was part of our spiritual practice, and it's something that you can still do. Larry Jobson I think did a really good job, and I did share it with everybody. I did one like a little poem, so that's why I was saying.
Okay,
if people
great.
just wanted to, throw out phrases or draw a
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
or, express their creed by walking somewhere.
Right.
Anyway,
As far as climate care goes, I did attend a meeting by the San Diego County, and our local farmers and ranchers and stuff have always had composting on their lands, but they've changed it somewhat. Now they can share a compost between farmers. There's not as long a
Oh,
process
good.
of getting their permits to do that
mhm.
and other things. So they're opening it up and making it more accessible for our land users
Mhm.
in the
Sounds
county.
good.
It was a really good seminar to go to. It was for
Great.
the unincorporated areas of San Diego. We have a lot of farms out there, a lot of small truck farms and avocado farms and that. So they've been opened up to share composting and open it up. And even some of them are going to be able to sell it off as another
Great.
product
Yeah.
to sell like to someone who's landscaping and that.
Right.
As they start developing.
So might you, if you want to send a link and we can share that with the group, we can do that as well.
Let me find it again. It was a Zoom meeting that they had
Okay.
last week. And I
Sometimes
found it
they
by
record.
accident.
Sometimes they record those.
Yeah.
We have Susan was graciously accepted our call to prayer. So I don't want to lose her.
Yeah.
Since we've run over quite a bit. So
I
Susan,
didn't even notice.
if you could pray us out.
Hey, this is from Philip Newell's Celtic Prayers from Iona. It's a lovely short book. You might be interested in it.
Yeah.
O God of the stars and the night skies, may your light be coming through thick clouds this night. You are the love of each living creature, O God. You are the warmth of the rising sun. You are the whiteness of the moon at night. You are the life of the growing earth. You are the strength of the waves of the sea. Speak to me this night, O God. Speak to me your truth. Dwell with me this night, O God. Dwell with me in love.
Amen.
Amen.
That was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining us.
Well, thank
You've
you.
made a wonderful book.
Yes.
Committee.
Yeah, Diane and Julie.
Thank you, everybody.
It has been a wonderful journey.
Yeah.
And I would
Yes.
like to see more things from the diocese come out if we could just figure out how to find them.
Okay. Well, we'll work on that.
Because the diocesan page will tell us about this afterwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Take care, everybody.
All right.
Thank you,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Thank you.